how impressive was last night's offensive explosion?
It was very impressive. And especially coming into the game, we have to realize that this game was originally scheduled to be in Mexico City. I'm sure the people in Mexico City wish they would have gotten the same type of game, but because of the field conditions and given the extreme conditions, the forest fires in California, those guys, staff members of the Rams, they weren't in their homes. Jared Goff had to be evacuated from his home, and they only got back in the town a couple days before this game. So you would think that there would be a lot of distractions and the quality of football would not be there. That was one of the things I was most impressive about. I don't think it affected the defenses. I think the offensive, the play calling, and the talent that's on those offenses, that's the way they would have played regardless. But I was impressed of how they moved the ball around. There was no one of the running backs, wide receivers, that they played a more prominent role, especially late in the game. You didn't know who was going to get the football. Yep. Typically in a game like this, you know where the ball's going to go, you know what's going to happen. And this was one, I mean, NFL, Big 12, welcome to the NFL, because it was exactly, you could not, turn this game off. And last possession, eventually we thought that was going to be the winner, Nick.
It felt like multiple times. The Chiefs scored to go up with less than 3 minutes remaining, and I think the response was, oh, you left the Rams too much time. Yeah. And then the Rams scored less than 2 minutes remaining. It's like, oh, you left the Chiefs too much time. And even after Mahomes threw the interception where Abukum hit him on the arm, they got the ball back, and you still thought the Chiefs might have enough time. There's never been a football game like last night. 99 years in the NFL, there had never been a team in league history score 50 and lose. And what, like, both teams had an opportunity to enter that category with the Chiefs having the ball late. To me, last night was an example of, in a league with some of the best athletes in the world, some of the best athletes in that league, and some of the best minds in that league on full display. There is no one in the NFL quite like Aaron Donald, and he put his imprint on that football game. There's no one in the NFL quite like Tyreek Hill. And while C's absolutely right, they spread it around everywhere, the skill position guy that had the biggest impact was Tyreek Hill with his 10 catches for 215. There's almost no one in the league, other than maybe Aaron Rodgers, that can make the types of throws, good and bad, that Patrick Mahomes can. And there's no minds in the league quite like Sean McVay and Andy Reid, at least to me. Sean McVay and his ability to, we lost Cooper Kupp. Todd Gurley's dinged up. Brandon Cooks is in and out. We will find different guys that can hurt you, and to turn Jared Goff into this level of player, and Andy Reid's embrace of college concepts. The screen pass touchdown to Kareem Hunt had three guys running in other directions. So as Bart Scott would say, disrupt the defense's eye discipline. And he ends up having a walk-in 30-yard touchdown. It was some of the best minds and some of the best athletes we have in the NFL. And it's how we got what, to me, was an all-time classic regular season game.
I love that you brought that up, because you look at a game, if you looked at the finals, 54-51, you thought, oh, this was just all defense. All offense, rather, excuse me. But it was great defense. It was great coaching. There was great scheming. I think if you take the score aside, you had a lot of everything by both teams poured into this game.
Absolutely. With the rules, you're going to stress out these defenses. No one has 5 or 6 defensive backs that they can put on these wide receivers. Offenses have a huge advantage, but it was about the expertise of the passing game. How were these defenses going to come up with either turnovers? Because that's the thing now in the league. You got to be able to create turnovers and play good red zone defense. And that's what you saw in this game. Teams trying to hold on, trying to force them to have field goals, but ultimately turning the football over. I don't care how good your offense is. You turn the football over, it's going to hurt you. You lose the turnover battle, it's almost impossible to win if you lose it by more than one. So that was, as much as we've changed the rules, it's still old-style football. You got to take care of the football, and I think that's what Kansas City, that's the lesson they should take from this game.
Well, and see, you mentioned that teams aren't going to have 5 or 6 quality defensive backs. That's the other thing that jumped out to me in this game. A few years ago, after the new collective bargaining agreement came into place, we started talking about how there aren't enough quality offensive linemen to go around, that they don't have enough time to learn it from the college game to the pro game. It feels to me like we are, because of the new rules, because of the emphasis on almost freedom of movement of receivers, because of the way they have almost juked the stats to help quarterbacks and receivers, there aren't enough quality corners and safeties in the league, at least guys that are allowed to play the way guys played in the past. And so how can you make an impact defensively? It is more important than ever in this league to have somebody like Aaron Donald or Justin Houston or Dee Ford, guys. Obukam had the game of his life, guys that can make those flash plays, because you're not going to have a bunch of 3-and-outs. Teams are going to accumulate yards on you, and can you have one special front seven player that can either take the ball away or, as we've talked about in the past, get a sack, which is worth about half a turnover as far as what the other team's going to do.
Well, going into this game, the game plan for Sean McVay, they were going to attack Orlando Scandrich, the cornerback for Kansas City. Now, he had a chance at 2 minutes, 15 seconds to be able to put this game away. He had an interception. They were in two-man. He read it right. They had a sideline pattern on. He reads it right. He drops this interception. This right here, regardless of all the offensive plays, that was the biggest play in the game. Yep. An opportunity, Kansas City being ahead, an opportunity for him to be able to take the ball away from them to be able to seal the win. So, yes, a lot of offensive players. Yes, the stats are really lean towards the quarterback and everything. But as a defensive player, we saw both of these teams on the outside. You get a chance a number of times to be able to make plays in the game, and you got to be able to take advantage of those opportunities.
I looked at the box score afterwards just to see what Gurley and Kareem Hunt did, just because of the seasons they've been having. And they had quiet nights. No touchdowns, 100 yards, under 100 yards. Were you surprised that they weren't featured in as much? Or because it was such high-flying offense, they were just going to throw the ball?
Well, I thought there was a couple things. One is, I know for some reason they didn't mention it on the broadcast, but it appeared to me Todd Gurley got dinged early. But about 7.5 minutes into the first quarter, he got rolled up on the sideline. He spent some time, according to the post-game reports, in the medical tent, and he didn't touch the ball again for about 8 minutes of game action. So I think that affected it. But the other thing that I think it was, when teams are passing like this, when you're getting 10 yards every time you drop back to pass, even if you're running for 6 yards a carry, like, passing is the more efficient option. The Chiefs had a healthy running back, but they were the team that was trailing for the majority of the game. So I thought both teams maybe could have relied on the running game more, but it's hard to say either team didn't play offense the exact way they wanted to.
Yeah, I thought Gurley a couple times earlier in the game, he had a couple tough little falls there. One where the guy fell on the back of his legs. But from what they were doing, this was the game plan. So unless Sean McVay tells me that, Todd Gurley got hurt, to me, it was the game plan. We're going to run play action because it gave them the best pass protection, and it sucked up those linebackers so they can run those combination routes. 2, 3 receivers, max protection, because the protection. So Todd Gurley was supposed to be a big part of the game, but a lot of it was going to be as a decoy and running that outside zone and then using the play action off of it, because that protection is one of the most secure protections for Goff to be able to read the ball and read the field. And he can take more time when they have that type of protection.
Hey, we thought this was going to be a great game. It turned out to be a great game, and I think the fans won, even though the Rams walked away with the win here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.